Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We're back on Tuesday morning, a little bit earlier than you usually see me and Bigman Bakar, because it's deadline day already. So this is our early deadline stream. The focus of today's show will be addressing the three big questions of the game week so far, and you know we've got some. It might involve Dubravka, it might involve goalkeepers, Matty Cash, possibly Palmer and Gordon as well. And more importantly, we're going to be looking at our teams and looking at Bigman Bakar's moves ahead of the deadline later this evening. But first and foremost, Bigman, how are you, my friend?
Thanks for having me, Johnny. Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. It's it's refreshing to be in here at this point, because it's the first midweek deadline of the season, and we're going to have plenty more in December, actually. So I'm looking forward with so many game weeks to come. Hopefully more progress to be made. I want to touch a bit about how our previous game weeks went, because both of us made a similar move. You made a move that you were very set on at the start of the week. I wasn't exactly that supportive of the transfer early in the week, but then as we got more information, I got sucked into it and did it. I'm talking about Watkins and Darwin.
The chasers that watched me and Dean yesterday will know that I am going to ask you about this one, and that I was pretty vocal about the move before the Watkins injury. So it was a move I was likely going to make regardless of the injury. And when I mentioned on Twitter that I was going to make the move on Wednesday, Thursday, all the Watkins owners were very precious and jumped straight on me to tell me that actually, no, it was a terrible move. Loads of those people that told me that then went and made that exact move. Now, sure, they did it because Watkins was flagged, but I'm sorry, we knew Watkins was flagged. We also knew there was a very, very good chance he was going to start. Like, I even tweeted on the same day to say, I'd be surprised if he doesn't start on Sunday. Like, I'm selling him knowing I think he'll start on Sunday. So it became, in my head, a little bit of a game of safety in numbers. The idea of selling Watkins was horrific because we all own him. And what if he scores and everyone else gets the point? But now we're all selling him. It's fine to jump on Darwin, because if we lose, we all lose together. And unfortunately, we see more and more of that as the seasons go on. And we worry, especially as the masses are watching. But yeah, it was, in a way, I smiled when he blanked and when Watkins scored, because I was like, I'm gutted for me, but at the same time, it's
you're not alone. Exactly. You're not alone. Exactly.
Doing it together. It's that comfort blanket, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, had you made that move, let's say, and Watkins not got injured, then you would have been alone and it would have hurt far more. But I mean, with the fact that the effective ownership was in your favor, I mean, obviously it would have stung, but not as much as it could have.
Yeah.
I mean, all jokes apart, I still think it was a good transfer to make, and I think I would have made the transfer 10 out of 10 times with the information I had available.
Yep.
I mean, Darwin had two big chances he missed. Watkins had one, and he took one and got XG, got a goal, got an assist from a low XG shot, which is fine.
Story of his season.
I mean, these things happen. I mean, you will face negative variance at various points, but I just thought, because I had nothing to do, if I had one free transfer, I am pretty sure that I would have rolled. But because I had two free transfers and I had nothing to do, and my transfer was going to be cash to Livramento, and I wasn't even going to play Livramento this week, or didn't plan to play him in the coming weeks.
Yeah,
I was like, I mean, this is sort of not inspiring me that much. So maybe I should just go with the Darwin move, especially considering that Watkins was a doubt and Darwin had, Fulham, Sheffield, and Palace, and then even the United game was very appealing in game week 17. So I thought it's a good move over 4 weeks, and I'll take my chances. Unfortunately, they didn't pay off, but I think the move was fine. The outcome was very unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. Let us know in the chat what you did, and hello to so many familiar faces and some new ones too. It's good to see Blackjack and Super Tiger, Laumo Football. I'm 9074. Thank you for watching. Do hit that like button nice and early, guys. Love us to get to 100 likes before the stream is out. Bigman, what's your plans then with Watkins? Because when I sold him, it was not with a plan to bring him back, but with the ability to go, I'll probably keep some funds aside to bring him back if I need to. I mean, in game week 18 is Sheffield United. There'll be a ton that captain in that game week. It perhaps will be dangerous to go without. What's your loose plan around Watkins and 18 and free hit and
Yes, this is a very good question and a very interesting dilemma that a lot of people will face now that they've sold Watkins for Darwin. Um, I think it's very important to be flexible and to be in a position where you can get Darwin back without requiring major getting Watkins back without requiring major surgery in the team. So, for example, in my case, I want to have that spare cash, for example, zero point 0.7, 0.8 million, that will allow me to get Watkins in for Darwin whenever need be. In fact, Jani, I was thinking that there's this outside chance because Liverpool's early kickoff in game week 16 is against Palace, right? So we might hear news that Darwin is benched. Then I want to be in a position where I can jump from Darwin to Watkins in game week 16. Because if Darwin is benched, I don't really want him that week. I'll take my chances with Watkins at home to Arsenal. I mean, Will are good at home, and if he's playing 90, then yeah, transfer I'll be making later anyway. So I might jump to Watkins even in game week 16 if he hears the news that he's starting and Darwin is benched. So that's the flexibility I want to keep in my team, and that's what I would advise other people to do as well.
Interesting, and that deadline is fast approaching. Like it's only this Saturday we're talking about, where Palace play Liverpool. It's the 12:30 kickoff, and one thing we know about Liverpool they are one of only a handful of teams you have a very good chance, if not almost guarantee, of some team news, some legit team news. So do keep your eyes on FPL Twitter on Saturday morning for that Darwin news. Because, yeah, I'm with you there, big man. I wouldn't be afraid to make that move either. The good thing is about prices, we could see even more movement, especially if Watkins blanks and Darwin scores midweek. But we've already seen a Watkins price drop and a Darwin price rise. So despite Watkins doing really well over the weekend, he's actually dropped in value.
And it's also important to say here that Darwin, we don't really know whether he'll start this week or not. But if you have him now, you just play him. You don't bench him, you don't sell him. You just play him.
Yeah, I've seen people say, should we sell and go to Watkins now? I'm like, no. You have to.
I've seen people who are benching him. I've seen people who are benching him, and I don't know. I don't really like the prospect of benching him in a fixture against Sheffield United. Even 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The guy could do well. Sheffield United
in a way, he's better when he comes off the bench because the game's a little bit more open. I mean, sure, we want him to start, but don't be too disheartened if 8 p.m. hits and he's not in the 11 and you're like, okay, he can still get you points. Like 30 minutes against Sheffield United, yeah, I expect something. So let's see on that one. But yeah, glad we've addressed the big transfer of the last game week and the big transfer of the game week to come. Let's start with our questions, big man. Question number 1 this week is around Dubravka, and this is definitely the big transfer of the game week. I went to bed last night and saw Darwin needed 20,000 people to still buy him before the 2 a.m. price changes. And I hadn't looked at the rate in which it was going. So I said to myself, he's not going to go up in price. Then I watched a Ronnie O'Sullivan documentary on Amazon, which is brilliant. And then after that, I checked and it was like 10,000. And I was like, wow, that's in like 90 minutes. So it's definitely time. He's definitely going to go up in price. And he did. He had so many buyers yesterday evening and afternoon that Dubravka has now gone up in price. So the world and their dogs seem to be buying him.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I'm one of them.
Yeah, nice. We're in the same boat. And did we both sell the same guy? I mean, did we both keep Areola, I guess is the question.
I kept Areola, yes. I assume you did as well?
Same. Yeah. I just saw a few content creators didn't. But yeah, for me, it was Areola all day, like has to stay because there's a couple of fixtures you'll start Areola over Dubravka. And then if Dubravka does lose his place in January, then yeah, you want Areola there, who's a set and forget.
Yeah, I mean, first coming to Dubravka and whether he's too obvious, he's a gift. I mean, let's accept it. If you're getting a keeper in a defense which is in the top 3 in the league for XG conceded, non-pen XG conceded at 4 million. That's a gift.
Yeah.
And the fixtures that you're going to get at least this month, because of course we're hearing rumors that De Gea might be signing or they might be in the market for another keeper. Let's say even if they do sign De Gea, he will not be. It is very likely that he is not going to be allowed to feature straight away, because the Premier League only allows special compensation in case where the club does not have a full squad available. In this case, Newcastle have two keepers, two established keepers like Karius and Dubravka who are available. So it's unlikely that even if they do sign De Gea, they will be granted the special exemption. So the earliest that De Gea or any other keeper can come in my personal opinion, is January.
1st of
Now
Jan.
1st of Jan. So the pertinent part here is that now you can get these fixtures out of Dubravka. Everton this week, then Fulham, Luton, Forest. I mean, this is between game week 17 and 19. Now, I genuinely think Newcastle can keep three out of 4 clean sheets.
Yeah, it's 2 minimum.
Minimum two.
Yeah.
2 minimum. I expect them to concede this week against Everton. Everton are good at home, but I think in the Fulham, Forest, Luton run, I think they keep 2 minimum, if not 3. So he's just going to rise in price. He's a fantastic asset. I think if you have 2 free transfers like I did with nothing else to do, I just think it made too much sense to buy him this week.
Yeah. And look, Newcastle's defence will be weaker as a result of no Pope. A bit like with Liverpool, we shouldn't be too surprised when Liverpool defence looks weaker or backline looks weaker with no Alisson. Kelleher's not as good and Dubravka's not as good as Pope. But he's still a good Premier League goalkeeper that had a ton of game time as Newcastle's number 1 in years gone by. And also, Nick Pope hasn't been the busiest of goalkeepers of late in the Premier League. Sure, in the Champions League, he's been busy. But in the Premier League, the backline in front of him doesn't concede too many shots. So again, we're not asking Dubravka to go make worldies every week. Pope, there's a lot of clean sheets Pope had recently where he's barely been worse. He's made a few comfortable saves.
Exactly. So even the shots that Newcastle are facing, they're shots of low XG quality, right? So it's basically the defense in front of them. While you're right that, of course, the keeper does affect the defense to a certain degree, but Botman is also coming back. So he's back in training. So that's going to affect their defense as well. And I mean, at 4 million, you can't really ask for too much, right? You have to put this into perspective. That his price is just too good to pass up. I mean, there are 2 or 3 cons I'd also like to mention here, just to play devil's advocate. I mentioned the good part. Now on to the cons. Firstly, it's the fact that you're putting yourself at risk. If Newcastle, let's say, buy another keeper in January, I mean, he could always become a dead slot. And if that happens, then you can't triple up on Newcastle. Let's say at some point you want Trippier, Wilson, and Gordon, or if you want, is my camera not showing up?
Oh yeah, your camera's just gone. That's weird.
Let me check again.
I can still hear you though. When you're playing around with that, I'll just feel because you're right.
I'll just join back. Just a second.
The January transfer is definitely like a thing that could happen. Let us know in the chat who you think like Newcastle could go out and get. Like other than De Gea, there's no really obvious names. People have said Ramsdale. Not a chance. Not a chance. Arsenal let Ramsdale go for a loan or a buy to one of their rivals. So De Gea's high wages and it would be a short-term contract, I guess, because again, Newcastle don't need a number 1 moving forward. They've got Nick Pope as their long-term number 1.
Yeah, the main con is, Gianni, that you might want to triple up on some other players later, and Dubravka means that you have to basically transfer him out in order to get the optimal
Wilson punt.
Yeah, or Gordon or Trippier, or let's say if Botman becomes an option. But I just think that if Dubravka gets this chance, and we're hearing reports that Newcastle are happy to trust him in this period, and if he does well, then it's unlikely that they buy a keeper in January.
And that's the caveat. He's got to play well. If he does play really badly, then maybe their hand is forced.
Exactly. So it's performance dependent, but given the information we have available and given his price, I just think it's a low risk transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if they go and buy a keeper, you're still going to get some good game weeks. So, like, straight away, game week 15, I think there's a good chance of a clean sheet. At Everton, Everton haven't been scoring many. And then
no Calvert-Lewin as well.
Yeah. Yeah, not that
Yeah,
he's been on fire, but yeah, it definitely weakens their attack.
yeah.
And then game
And
week 17, 18, sure, it's back to Dubravka, and 19. And in 20, you think there's a good chance in 20 you'd probably play Areola. And in 21, you'd definitely play Areola. So that more reason to keep Areola, right? And not sell him, but sell your Turner or your Strakosha.
exactly, especially the key point is in game week 21, 22. When you look at Newcastle playing City at home and Villa away, West Ham have Sheffield United and Bournemouth. So I mean, that's why keeping Areola over Turner makes more sense.
Yeah.
And not only this, there's also the fact that, let's say if Dubravka does not perform well in this run and you lose a keeper, then you always have, Areola to turn to. At least he's going to play, right? If you're keeping Turner, he's a dead spot anyway. So I just think that point two saving is not worth the risk that you're taking by selling someone like Areola over Turner. I would still have Areola as backup.
Yeah, easy for 0.2, and for some it's even less because they might have paid 4.1 or 4.0 for Areola. Yeah, it's an easy decision for me. And I guess game week 16 will be interesting because we'll have just bought our shiny new toy Dubravka and we'll be benching him. But I think
Exactly.
for Spurs away, because we won't stream before game week 16, us two, big man. Do you think game week 16 you will be benching? You will be benching him because Spurs are just so good. The ceiling's so high. Spurs at home and Fulham away. Areola could come up. This is as good a chance as any for a clean sheet.
I would probably still back Areola, I think.
Yeah.
Just marginally. I was actually having a look at the clean sheet odds
Oh yeah, for
just before I
16.
came on. For 16, yeah. And Areola was on 27% versus Fulham, and Dubravka was 20%, basically.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a 7% swing in the odds as well. And I mean, I fully expect Spurs to score. I would be shocked if they didn't. I mean, I in any game, irrespective of fixture, I expect them to score these days.
Yeah.
So I would just probably just back Areola, even though I do think Fulham will score as well because they tend to do well against this kind of middling opposition, especially at home. So
Yeah.
I do think both keepers will concede, and it's a decision which will eventually be redundant.
Yeah, and both those Spurs fixtures I want to avoid for my goalkeepers because Spurs have just conceded 3 at the Etihad, the hardest place to go in the league, and Spurs comfortably scored 3 goals. So worth noting there, guys. Let's move on away from goalkeepers. Let us know in the chat. Maybe we'll do a poll actually. Have you made a goalkeeper transfer, or are you making a goalkeeper transfer this game week? Yes or no? I'm interested to know what percentage of you are making one. I reckon that's going to be above 50%. What about Matty Cash replacements? Go on.
Jani,
Yeah.
just before we conclude this section, did you have 2 free transfer, 1 free transfer? Because I think for those with 2 free transfers, it's a very easy transfer.
I
But
had
for
one.
those with exactly, but for those with 1, it's slightly tricky because obviously there's an option of rolling as well. You can get more information, and this is a transfer. But as we mentioned, I mean, you can sort of leave till game week 17 because Areola is an option in game week 16. So had I had just 1 free transfer, I don't personally think I would have done it.
Would you not?
But
Oh, interesting.
I'm not. I don't think I would have. I would have probably rolled and gotten Dubravka in 17. But
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
think
I
straight
mean,
away that we're going to get immediate rewards because Dubravka's going to clean against
yeah.
Everton and Areola's going to come off with 0 against Spurs.
It's a 50-50 call. I mean, but again, I mean, on the contrary, by game week 17, Dubravka could be 4.2 million, right? And Turner could be 3.9. So you're also gaining on value. So I mean, I do get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I not only had 1 free transfer, mate, I also have Matty Cash. And again, this is another hard sell that dropped in price last night. Matty Cash is on 4 yellow cards, has lost his place, has difficult fixtures, and is dropping in value. There are 4 big reasons there to sell Matty Cash, and he's still on my bench. I won't be selling Matty Cash till Friday.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no reason to keep him.
No, unless you need to hit him out, which I do, and I'm not willing to do that. And I also need another game week to figure out who I'm buying because I am 50-50 on 2 players. It's Porro, it's Reece James, and what I see midweek might influence my decision on that one.
I completely agree. I want another week of information as well. There's this. Let's say if we've made our transfer, let's say if something comes up today, like I mean, just for argument's sake, if we get news that Gabriel is benched, or any popular player in our team is benched, then I don't really want to be in a position where I have to sort of choose whether to buy Porro or James this week, because it's a incredibly tough decision to make. I personally believe that from next week onwards, maybe James is the better buy just because of the fixtures that Chelsea have coming up.
Yeah.
But if you're buying one right now, then Porro seems safer.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But I don't really want to be making that decision this week, especially because my defense is all right this week. I don't really have to make a defensive transfer. But for those who are in a position where they have to sell one, Porro perhaps is a better entry point this week. But then James will have to come back in. You can see the graphic on screen. Look at James' stats. He hasn't paid that much, but even then, his non-pen XGI is right up there. Porro is doing well as well. This 0.26 is
this per 90 from the start of the season.
Exactly. This is since the start of the season, but these numbers have gradually been improving, especially since Maddison's injury. He's on all set pieces, so his XGI has been consistently above 0.5. So his numbers in recent times have been incredible.
I'm surprised he's 0.26. I'm surprised. I did think I'd see Porro closer to James there. But as you're right, the start of the season was fairly slow. And I remember after 5-6 game weeks, we were all saying Udogi's the better pick. But now Porro, with Maddison out the team at set pieces, but also with Maddison out the team, more responsibility on Spurs fullbacks to adopt those number 10 inside midfield positions, which Porro does so well.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think Porro is a safer choice. James is more of a risk.
With the injuries too.
I mean, James is someone a lot of people don't like, especially on FPL Twitter, FPL YouTube.
Yeah,
they don't really like him because he's prone to injury, etc. I've already been bitten once by him this season. I started with him.
Oh, did you?
So
okay.
Yes, I did. So I've been there and I've been bitten, but I'm still willing to go there again, just because the fixtures seem so good. I mean, that Sheffield United at home fixture in Gameweek 17, I just do not want to pass up on that.
Yeah, it could be huge. And the Chelsea fixtures aren't too bad for Reece in terms of the fact, well, firstly, he's just had a rest, but the congestion's not too difficult. They do play Newcastle in the Carabao, is worth noting, but could that be a rest for Reece in that week?
The congestion, the period I'm worried about is I think he sits either Game Week 20 or 21, the Luton or the Palace fixture, because Chelsea are playing like 3 games in the span of 7 days.
19 or 20, that is. So 27th of December and then 30th of December.
Yeah, exactly. That's precisely what I'm referring to. So one of those 2 games, I think he'll sit. That's the risk with James. But I mean, anyone can sit in these games. What are your thoughts on Colville? Actually, Colville is another one I'm actually looking at.
Good buy.
Next week.
And I started the season with Colville and had him all the way up to game week 10. And he 1 week, I think he got me a double digit. Like, I think he got an assist and 3 bonus. And I remember watching him pre-season. He came close to a couple of headers. And I remember putting him in, not just because he was 4.5 and I knew he was nailed, but it was, I remember watching pre-season in the US, him getting his head on a couple of set pieces. And he is good in the opposition box. We never really saw it at Brighton, but we didn't see that many games of Colville starting at Brighton. Colville is a threat at set pieces and will pop up with a goal. He'll pop up with some assists because he's now playing left back, not centre back. And that is where Poch sees him at the moment, especially with Badia Shield coming back, by the way. Like, I think Badia Shield is going to be starting with Thiago Silva's first choice centre back partnership. Colville left back is so much better than Cucurella.
Yes, I was going to ask that because we've seen in recent weeks that Cucurella has been playing over him.
So but he's done enough because he was recovering from an injury. I think I would be shocked if Cucurella starts more than 1 game over the festive period in the Premier League.
So you're basically saying that it's Colville's spot to lose.
Yeah. But he might miss 1 when they've got the 3 and 6.
Yeah, but that could apply to anyone, right? That could apply to anyone in this period.
It's like Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday turnaround is going to be tough for Reece James, but tough for many of them from game week 18 to 20.
We also have to put his price into perspective, right? He recently dropped, so he's now only 4.5, and 4.5 is a gift, especially for those looking to sell Cash or Kehi even, or a Palace defender. And even I think this could also be pertinent for those who might want to sell Tsimikas in 16. Let's say if we hear news that Tsimikas is benched in 16. Tsimikas to Colville could be popular then.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm a big fan of Colville in terms of a player, but also as an FPL asset. He's only 4% owned. I'm really surprised at that considering his price point. And a good route to that Chelsea backline. Again, the Wednesday night game at Man United gives us one more week to go. Let's see if we can figure out the Chelsea back four. But my assessment is over the festive period, Reece at right back, Thiago Silva and Badiashile, and then Colwill. Disasi has played well, so we could see Disasi and Thiago partnership. We could also know Thiago is going to need at least one game's rest, so it'll be Disasi and Badiashile. But Badiashile has been very good in the couple of games he's featured since his injury, and I think offers a little bit more composure on the ball than say a Disasi, for example.
Okay.
And a physical presence.
We've touched a bit briefly on the cheap defenders. I mean, Colwill is one. Maybe you can keep an eye out on Newcastle in the coming weeks. Let's say if I'm not entirely sure whether Livermento will play all games, but if Portman is back, then Lascelles could be a bit of a dead pick as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to keep an eye out on these kind of things in the weeks to come. I wanted to touch a bit more on James and Porro this week. So let's say if you were buying one this week, which one would you get? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot, but
I think it shouldn't matter too much because we're buying them for the next 10 weeks, but entry point does, and it shouldn't, because over 10 weeks, if I think James has got better fixtures and that's what's swaying me, I should just go for James. But because the entry point for Porro this week is better than Reece, and because we haven't seen Reece James play consistent sets of 90, and he's been suspended and injured before that, I think I'd buy Porro this week. But I think if you ask me who am I going to buy on Friday, I'd say I'm more likely to buy Reece. But that's dependent on what I see midweek. But at the moment, if I was buying today, probably Porro, which is crazy. It's that much of a fine line, isn't it?
I think I agree with you. And I mean, entry point does become more significant. Let's say if you're planning on moving an Arsenal defender on next week, because Arsenal their fixtures are turning as well, right? So let's say if you have someone like a Saliba. So let's say if you're planning to sell cash this week, and if you're planning to sell Saliba next week, then of course you can get to both Porro and James. And in that case, Porro automatically becomes a better option this week by default, because then next week you can get to James for Saliba, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, these are the kind of things you have to keep in mind as well.
It's a tough one because, as you're right, like the Arsenal fixtures are about to dip a little bit, and same as Liverpool, and loads of us will own at least one Arsenal defenders and Tsimikas. Tsimikas, I guess I see as a long-term hold until Robertson's back. I think that's probably the plan with me, even though he's got some tough fixtures. I can't look past the fact I think I paid 4.4 for him. He's now 4.8, and he still could get attacking returns against anyone. Double Arsenal defense is interesting because so many that have double Arsenal defense only recently would have recruited their second Arsenal defender. So for me, it feels a little bit short term to go, I bought Saliba 2 weeks ago and I want to sell him next week. Like, double Arsenal defense feels like a major bed and a major bed now laying it type situation with that move. Do you really want to be using too many transfers?
I'm not sure about it.
Defenders?
Yeah, because they are in lead defense, and their fixtures from game week 9 onwards are crazy. I mean, I would probably want one of them back again. So I think I'm going to keep one of them. I might make a move and sell one of them. So that's the conundrum I'll have in my head. Just if I want to get to Porro or James. There's also the fact that if you have someone like a Saliba, and for those of us who've jumped on Darwin, you need some funds to jump to Watkins later. So Saliba is 5.5. I mean, he could be a bit of a cash cow in that way, right?
Yeah.
And he could be the make weight if you're willing to sell him. Then that option is available as well.
Yeah, and with everyone buying Dubravka, it also, for many, will rule out the third Newcastle defender or defensive player in going to Livramento, because some were looking at cash going, maybe Livramento's a replacement, myself included. But now I'm ruling that out because I've got Dubravka and I've got Lascelles already. Do I want triple Newcastle backline? No, because I want to have Newcastle attacking cover potentially. So again,
or Trippier at some point.
Cash cow down to Livra or Trippier. Yeah, was a way of going Watkins back to Darwin, or Darwin back to Watkins, but now it's not because Livramento's kind of been crossed off my list, unless I have to go Lascelles to Livra because Botman's back. But I think with Botman returning to first team training, we're still going to have 2-3 weeks until he's, I think, starting for Newcastle, which still gets you a good 4 or 5 games of Lascelles. What do you reckon there with Botman, big man? It's hard to assess because Eddie Howe's not going to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, if he's back in training this week, then I think Lascelles could be in danger by game week 17, 18. Yeah. I think he's going to miss the good run, unfortunately.
I hope it's 8. I hope for Lascelles we get. I'm just looking at the fixtures now.
But Botman is not going to start all the games altogether. I mean, Lascelles will
Yeah.
get 1 or 2 games.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
I
thing.
think he'll be back for, say, game week 18, right? Which is December the 23rd. They then play again on the 26th. Like, if he's back for 18, he probably won't play 19. He's
I
not
mean,
going to be. He's not going to start 2 games in 3 days.
he's probably going to play one.
Yeah, when he comes back. So I still think we'll get some good Lascelles fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely worth keeping. But in your case, yeah, I can see why you don't want to jump on Livramento and Dubravka and Lascelles at the same time, because you just basically want to keep that slot open in case you want someone like a Wilson or Isak or Gordon or Trippier later.
Yeah, exactly that. Let's move on to, speaking of Gordon or Palmer. This has been quite swingy for those like me that went Palmer a couple of weeks ago, and many actually sold Gordon to Palmer a few weeks ago. This has been quite a swing because Gordon's been massively stepping up, and Palmer's, well, he's been injured, and we've seen 1-pointers. Really annoying that he was stood on the touchline ahead of the Chelsea penalty, about to come on, and they get the pen. But Gordon or Palmer this week feels, well, if you're chasing form, you go Gordon, but Palmer does have the fixtures, and he has also now had a bit of a rest.
Yes, I mean it's been swingy. You're absolutely right. That's the word for it in recent weeks. I think both of them are excellent options. When you look at their data, Gordon's non-pen XG is significantly better from open play. So he's basically, his goal threat is almost twice as much as Palmer from open play. But when you consider chance creation, when you consider assist potential, when you consider penalties, and when you consider the fixtures that Chelsea have coming up, and most importantly, the most important factor now for me is the price. There's a 0.7 million price difference. I think if I was buying one this week, I would probably go to Palmer.
Yeah.
Having said that, I still think Gordon is an excellent option, but I don't want to sit on the fence. If I was buying one this week, I would probably go to Palmer. I mean, these are his stats since Game Week 7 when he started for the first time. Still right up there in midfielders, non-pen XGI. Just incredible value at 5.3 million.
He is. And do you feel like he's, because I feel with Palmer, it's just the long-term nature of it, given what we all paid or are paying, even at 5.3, just feels like throughout the season, playing for a good team, as long as he's starting and continues to start and is on pens, he's going to be the best fifth choice midfielder in the game. It's going to be very difficult for anyone to come and beat that in terms of the value and what you get from him at 5 million. So it's just the long-term nature of it. With Gordon, he comes into the price band where you go, oh, there's other players for good spells that you might jump on and off. So Gordon doesn't become a long-term hold or a season-long hold, regardless of form, because he's in the 6 million bracket and maybe a fourth midfielder, not a fifth. Palmer's the best fifth choice midfielder we'll find.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd also like to raise a point here regarding Gordon's home form. I mean, Gordon has been exceptional at home.
Amazing.
He's
Is
yet
he
to blank
like once or something? Or was he yet to blank at home?
Yeah, he's yet to blank. He's not blanked in 8 home games this season.
Yeah.
And the next 2 now are away. I mean, Everton away isn't the easiest fixture. Then Spurs away. I just think the ceiling with Gordon isn't as high in these fixtures, and that Palmer could sort of outscore him in the next 2 fixtures.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
Not just the next 2 fixtures, even over the long run.
I hear that. It will be interesting. Let us know in the chat which ones who you're going towards. If you're still yet to own one of these 2 players, IceG says Palmer, the pen merchant. Chris has played the fixtures. Palmer. Yeah. I mean, I played the fixtures a couple of weeks ago. No, I didn't. I should have played the fixtures a couple of weeks ago and gone Gordon. I played the long-term fixtures and went Palmer. But the short-term now, Palmer's definitely got them. Some are worried he'll lose his place with Nkunku's addition, but I don't see that at all.
I don't think, yeah. I don't see that at all. And I think this debate, I mean, it's because it's been swingy, like you mentioned. I don't think we would be having this debate as much as we are at this point if, let's say, Palmer would have started against Brighton if he didn't pick up that injury, and he might have taken that penalty. In that case, Palmer sitting on 7-8 points, we're not having this discussion this week, right? Yeah. So it's just the fact that we've been unfortunate as Palmer owners because he got injured in training, he didn't play. it could have been a different outcome altogether had he started. Gordon is still a fantastic pick. Well done to those who own him. I still think he'll do well. In fact, I think there's an outside chance if Brentford don't actually have a double game week in game week 20, by game week 18 we will all end up buying Gordon for the fixtures that Newcastle have coming up from game week 17.
Yeah. That's going to be one to monitor for sure. Newcastle way better in attack than I think I gave them credit for. Wilson, by the way, is returning, by the way. So again, that Isak Wilson debate might continue into those good weeks as well, because there's definitely something about Callum Wilson for a couple of short-term punts, like a couple of weak punts that I really like, as I did at the end of last season. If we can predict when Wilson starts, he's a brilliant FPL asset. Should we move to your team, big man, to see what you've been up to this week so far? Because you've made your early transfer, right?
Sure.
143 watching. Do hit that like button if you can, guys. Much appreciated for subscribes as well. So talk us through your team, big man. This is pre-transfer, but last night I know you pulled the trigger.
Yes, this is pre-transfer. I had 2 free transfers. I have 0.7 million in the bank. I'm very happy with the state of my team this week. Looking at this team, Johnny, I assume you would have done the same?
Yeah, definitely. I would.
I mean Cash to Porro was the other option.
No, I think like me, I like the idea you're getting another week's worth of information, because the Porro Reece James decision is big, and I think you need to watch Reece over 90 and see how fit he looks to rule him out or in.
Exactly. And let's say had I bought one of those this week, then I would have benched Gehi, which doesn't really appeal as much. I do think Dubravka over Areola this week is a good upgrade, right? So and it saves me a transfer later as well, because that's a transfer I think I'll be doing in Gameweek 17-18 anyway, had I not bought Dubravka. So that's what I've done. I am planning to roll the other free transfer. Yeah. And now I have another reason why I moved tonight. Yesterday was because that 0.1 million extra that I'm getting, now I have 0.8 in the bank, so I can easily jump to Darwin to Watkins if need be on Saturday if we hear news that Darwin is benched.
Yeah, okay, nice. And what are you doing with Gay? Because those that have a Crystal Palace defender, those often it's people that wildcarded around 8, 9, 10, and they had a really good run of fixtures, and we knew that come game week 16 onwards, it takes a big turn for the worse. So are you planning on using that as a spot in which you might sell, or because you can't get much money out of him, will he just become your fifth defender or your fourth defender on your bench most weeks? I
haven't really made my mind up, but he's next to useless in the weeks to come. I'm very, very much aware of it. But all this, I think game week 16 is a week where all of our defenses are not looking great, because Arsenal are playing Villa away, Spurs and Newcastle are playing each other, Chelsea have a tough fixture against Everton away, Tsimikas could be benched. So game week 16 is tough for defense altogether. But I think that's one of the weeks where I will probably be performing some surgery on my defense. I think I'll probably use 2 free transfers next week to fix the defense.
Yeah.
And I will be selling 2 of Gehi, Cash, and Saliba. I don't know which ones.
Why do you think Tsimikas might be benched? I don't see that.
He's not going to start all 3.
I think he will.
I'd be shocked if he did, because it's a very short turnaround, and generally we've seen Klopp, he does tend to rotate. So I think Gomez will play 1 fixture.
Did he start
very similar to what I feel about Nuno?
Did he start the Thursday Europa game last Thursday? Did he?
Yeah,
okay, maybe you're right then.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And I think the same applies to Nunes as well. I think Nunes will probably sit 1 as well. As much as I'd like him to start, I think he sits either Sheffield or Crystal Palace, one of those.
I did a poll yesterday, will Darwin start? And I think 46% said yes. It was about 50-50. And I'm kind of on the fence there too. Really tricky one.
If I was to guess, I think Darwin sits this week because Crystal Palace is a tougher fixture.
I've just remembered what the poll result was. 46% said they owned Darwin. That was it. I did a poll on my YouTube chat yesterday. How many of you own Darwin? 46% said yes, they own him. They bought him this week. And then I said, what percentage of you will think he starts against Sheffield United? And 39% said yes. So I was like, that's hilarious. 46% of you own him, yet less than that think he'll start against Sheffield United. I think you might be right there.
I
Big man.
mean, it's a 50-50 call, to be very honest. But this is exactly the point. I mean, we need this information
Yeah.
going in game week 16. So sort of
Yeah.
saving that transfer and leaving those transfers for later makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a busy deadline game week 16 with that Saturday morning news. Keep your eyes.
Salah's going to be my captain. I don't think that's going to change. He's
for 15
clear
or
for me
16
this week.
Okay,
I just think he's clear
you've got
for me this week.
You got the vice on Haaland. Do you
Yeah.
think Son's the second best option? Because I've got the vice on Son, and I'm like, he's the only one of the big four with a home fixture. When we look at Saka as well, Saka, Haaland, Salah away. Son has got a really good home fixture.
I think it's very marginal between Son and Haaland. I just think, I mean, Haaland, he always scores, man. He's gonna score. I know
And he's
Villa
riled up
isn't the
now.
easiest fixture.
He's angry.
Yeah, so he's gonna score. So I mean, the base points the floor I see is probably 6-7 points. So yeah, I mean, it's close. I mean, I don't really think it will come into play because Salah will start almost certainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think I don't want to be sitting here regretting my decision not to captain Salah against Sheffield United, because this is as good a fixture as you're going to get. I watched Burnley versus Sheffield United the weekend, and it was very, very one-sided. I mean, Burnley just blew them apart.
And it's like, that's your biggest relegation rival. That's a team that have been struggling more in the league than anyone else, Burnley, who just went and schooled you for 5 goals.
Yeah, completely
it's
just
bad.
Blew them off the park.
And if there's a new manager announcement, the new manager bounce thing, for me, you do see it, but it's the same group of players, and there's probably one, if not none, in terms of training sessions with the new manager. So we might see that moving forward, but no, it's not been announced yet.
Yeah, so this is not the week for the bounce anyway. Even if
there
is, I mean, the quality between the two teams is significant. I think he'll be appointed. They're waiting basically for Liverpool to smash them, and then they'll sack him.
Yeah,
and then they'll appoint the new one before Brentford next game week.
Yeah, Sokan says he'd take 30 minutes of Darwin against the Blades 100% of the time, and that's a fair comment. Like, genuinely, if you offered me now 30 minutes of Darwin versus Sheffield United
versus Watkins 90 minutes,
Watkins 90, I'd take the 30 of Darwin. I would.
Yeah, but Rodri less City.
Yeah,
Rodri less City. We know and at home for Villa,
and no Doku and no Grealish. So again, the left hand in attack, they're going to be a little bit. I think we'll see Foden playing wide left.
I think if I was to guess, I think Watkins will score 6-7 points this week.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Darwin's getting 8, so that's right.
I mean, that's the thing. But I just hope the swing isn't as brutal as it was last week, honestly.
Yeah. I really hope we get something. Let's see.
But if Darwin starts, then
if Darwin starts,
we're
in for a ton of big chances, whether or not he converts them or not.
Big chances missed.
Yeah, great chances off the crossbar again, and loads of Salah assists that might be expected assists rather than assists. What about Game Week 16, Big Man? Because we're not going to see you ahead of that one. So with the team as it currently looks, we're going to the move in this week is you've actually got 0.8 in the bank because Turner's gone and Dubravka's come in. You're going to have 2 free transfers for Game Week 16. And we can see here the fixtures, the second fixture along. So under Salah, you can see Crystal Palace. Under Haaland, you can see Luton. Firstly, who will you captain in that game week? Haaland versus Luton's hard to ignore, right?
I think I'll probably go Haaland simply because the fixture.
Are you worried about minutes with Haaland in terms of the fixtures for City are okay? If he plays 90 against Aston Villa, are you okay for still 90 against or a start against Luton? I don't think it's an issue, but I just want to ask you the same question.
He just always plays when he's fit.
Yeah. And it's a Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday turnaround. It's not a Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday like Liverpool or Aston Villa.
Yeah. That's the crucial thing.
Yeah. So he's got that extra day recovery. So we're both likely to captain Haaland, I think, unless maybe, I don't know, maybe we see something in the game week that changes us. What are your early thoughts for transfers? Do you think you'll sell Matty Cash to one of the defenders, Porro or Reece, and then roll the other transfer?
Okay, so I'll be selling. I think I'll be using both my free transfers next week.
On
That's the
defenders,
initial
an
thoughts
Arsenal defender or
on
Gahey
defenders.
and
Yeah,
Cash.
assuming nothing else comes up. So
Yeah.
basically, as of now, I think I'll be selling two of Gehi, Saliba, and Cash.
Yeah.
And as of now, I think I will be buying two of Poro, James, and Colwell.
Nice. Okay. Just check Badia Shield as well, mate. 4.4. Probably a greater set pieces. Played the last 90 twice. If he plays 90 against Man United, you look at it and go, Badia Shield is as nailed as Colwill and a little bit cheaper and potentially a bigger threat at set pieces. But Colwill does come with the assist threat, to be fair.
You think is his first choice as well?
If he plays 90 against Man United, that would be 3 sets of 90 in the Premier League back to back. His displays in those 2 sets of 90 so far have been brilliant. He is 100% one of Chelsea's best 2 centre-backs. Depends how Poch sees the combinations with him and Thiago or Disasi and Thiago, but I'd be surprised if he misses minutes now. Badia Shield's been so good since he arrived at Chelsea. But I do think Colwill comes with that assist threat, so probably the safer pick.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, just interesting that I've just looked and I was surprised. I thought Badia Shield might start the season at 5 million, but he started the season at 4.5. So he's now 4.4 because of his injury. And he's 0.1% owned. Just an interesting observation there. If you can't stretch to a Colwill, Badia Shield is not a bad shout. Colwill is 0.1 more expensive.
Let's take questions.
Yeah, indeed. Let's do that. We've got a good 12 minutes left. Oh, actually, I might be able to quickly show my team just so you can see it. And then we'll get to Q&A. I think we've got my team loaded. If we haven't, no worries. We can go straight to questions. Guys, do hit that like button if you're enjoying today's stream.
Yes, your team is here, I think.
Yep, good. It is. Yeah, so I mean, our attacking seven's the same, but our defense is very different. Tsimikas is in, Lascelles is in. I mean, I think you've got the stronger back line now, and you've got 2 free transfers. So you're a move ahead of me in a way. I need Tsimikas to give me big points in one of these next 2 games. The one he starts, I need big points.
Gianni, your team is well set for this week, but I'm actually curious to hear your transfer thoughts for next week. Yeah,
it's not looking good next week, especially if Tsimikas starts against Sheffield United, and we think he could be benched versus Palace. Lascelles goes to Tottenham. I probably need to start him. I will be buying a Matty Cash replacement who will come into the 11. So actually, I only need to start Gabriel or Lascelles, one of them. But if Tsimikas is benched, I need both of them to start.
I think almost everyone will be starting at least one Arsenal defender. No one has the luxury to bench them next week.
Yeah. I looked at Taylor and was like, is there a week I could bring Taylor in again? I don't think there is there? Like, Taylor could come in this week. If Tsimikas is benched, Wolves away is not the end of the world, but it's not great.
Yeah. Brighton away isn't ideal either next week. No. Fixtures aren't exactly there now. So who are you eyeing up?
Yeah, so my move is Strakosha's already gone for Dubravka, and next week it will be Cash out. I mean, there is an argument here to say, should I just be taking a -4 this week and getting Cash out now? And then should Tsimikas be benched? I've got Porro or Reece James coming in. And then I've got the luxury of another transfer in 16. But at the moment, I think I'm okay with just having the one in 16. It's not ideal, but I don't think it's worth the hit.
And your defense is fine this week. You don't really have to take a hit.
It's just a Tsimikas benching could sting me.
I mean, yeah, but so could a Darwin benching. I mean, you can't really account for these kind of possibilities, right? Especially if you don't really have a free transfer in hand. I think.
Yeah, the thing is, I know Darwin comes off the bench, so I'm not relying on a sub if Darwin's benched.
I think Tsimikas will come on. No, Tsimikas will come on as well. He almost always tends to come. Of course, he almost always tends to come on when he's benched.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm fairly happy. Captaincy Salah. Like, I do think Son's a very good option this week. And if I was my friend and friend of the channel, Ali Yahangarov, winner of FPL last year, he's at 3.5 million. His season's a write-off. I'd be captaining Son. But
I think
Salah this week for me.
I think you're probably going to get Porro or James next week, right? I think you're going to get James for cash, if I'm being honest. I can see you getting James.
I think I'll go James as well.
Yeah, you don't want to say it out loud though.
I know, it seems so risky, especially with my back line where I'm like, I've got players like Lascelles could be could lose minutes because of Botman soon. Simicast could miss the odd game. Like I need Cash's replacement to be a secure 90-minute man that never gets injured, like Porro. And I'm going to go and buy Reece James. But the fixtures are just so there for it. And you're right, that game week 17 against Sheffield United at home, like immediate returns for Reece James starting in that one, surely.
And you know the good thing about that fixture is the 6-day rest before it. So he's going to start.
The fixtures have been kind to Chelsea over. I mean, we mentioned over Christmas the 3 and 6, but other than that, it's been pretty kind. So.
You know what's going to happen, mate? I think if we do this, James will start that fixture. He'll either get injured or we'll see a new manager bounce, and we'll see Porro smash it in the same week when he's facing. I think it's Forest away.
Forest, yeah.
That's the thing, right? I do think Forest will score that week. They're very good at home.
Forest have been scoring, like they've been dropping points, but they are scoring goals. Like there's no doubt.
They're a good team at home. They're a good team at home. They've lost, I think, 3 of their previous 21 home games, which is brilliant for a team in the bottom half. So I would give them a chance of a clean sheet there.
Yeah. Question coming in from Kancha. We'll do alternate questions, and in a couple of minutes we'll give a couple of minutes chat to free hit as well. I'll take the first one. Martinelli for Trossard. No, Trossard might not start. It's Trossard 1 week, Havertz the next. Sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither. I'd give Martinelli another week or just bin him off for someone else, but outside of Arsenal. Martinelli did hit the post in the week. You're unlucky not to get points.
Play Lascelles or Gehi. I would play Gehi. I think he's the better odds. 33% to Newcastle's 31%. Very marginal, but I think I'd go with the home guy. Palace tend to do well against this middling kind of opposition at home as well. Roy Hodgson's generally very good in these kind of games.
We have Chris who's on a wild card in 16. Interesting strategy there, Chris. If I still had a wild card, and you might want to, I think I'd be saving it for 19, but it depends on your team. So if you're looking for a 1 week punt, you're looking at Hwang. That's Burnley, although Burnley off the back of a 5-0 win might come out a bit of a different proposition. Actually, they've been playing quite well of late.
No, I think I like it. I think if Hwang is playing at home to Burnley on pens, I like that punt, especially for a wild card punt because he's on 4 yellows, so he could be suspended soon.
Oh, nice one, yeah.
But if you're on a wildcard punt this week, is a good option. Dallo or Livramento. I'm not sure Dallo is going to start, so I'd probably go with Livramento.
Same. Eddie says, I would do that. I'd do goalkeeper transfer. Yeah.
Best defender to buy ones you don't have. Porro, James, Colwell. These are the guys which really stand out in the weeks to come.
Yeah. Good question, Tucker. FPL Habesh. Loads of new names here. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel, guys. A -4 for Dubravka, no. I would just make the move next week.
Yes, I won't take it as well. I have Dallo and Ketia. Do you think Shaw plays centre back? Ketia is a bit of a dead player. So Ketia to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is a good pick, yeah. I like these moves. Dallo to Porro, James, and Ketia to Solanke. They're good
Solanke versus Palace, I even away from home. Like I would start Gay if I had him, like Bigman, but I think Bournemouth score.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think they'll as well. Keep Darwin for next 2 weeks, and then swap to Solanke. Then swap to Watkins if you don't have him.
Yeah. Or maybe a Newcastle forward. Like we don't know what
at that
Wilson
point,
and Isak are knocking around. So make that call. Look, Darwin might smash it against Crystal Palace. He might score a hat trick, and then you go, he's got Man United, and then after that you go. The fixtures aren't for. It doesn't really matter for opposition for Darwin. Like there's you could sell the story of Darwin scoring goals against anyone. You just need to see him score goals to build that confidence. So commit to Darwin sales after the Palace game because you might not need to go there. The sales out for Porro from -4. No, not from -4. I don't like 4-point hits unless you. I don't like 4-point hits where you're selling a good player for a good player. Like I think a lot of these are 4-point hit ideas can probably wait a week. And Burmo to Son from -4. Oh, that's tricky. I'd still want to keep him Burmo.
I won't sell him more personally. I won't sell him more. Yeah, I mean,
he's got Sheffield United next week.
Yeah, Even this week, I fancy him to score. He's going to play. I think he's going to play as a striker in 3-5-2 against Brighton.
Yeah. So even more reason to keep him. Yeah.
Very, very risky. Captain differential Havertz or Luis
Wow.
Diaz. Wow. I mean, both of them might not start.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Probably Diaz, I think, because Arsenal generally they play in a controlled manner. I don't see a 4-5-0 against Luton. I think it's more of a 2-0 game. But
Yeah.
Liverpool could smash them for 5-6-7. Start
Just
Solanke or Palmer. I would go with Palmer, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. Just know Luis Diaz will only start if Darwin doesn't. One of Darwin or Luis Diaz will be bench versus Sheffield United. Gakpo will be starting one way or another, I think. Rise or Sanchez. So Raya or Sanchez. I mean, I would go Sanchez just as a long term for the
Yeah,
next 10
over
games.
the long term, yeah. Over the long term, I think Sanchez, but even his appeal isn't as great now with
No,
Dubravka.
it's not. It's changed
That's the thing.
everything that because I was eyeing up
Yeah,
Sanchez and now I'm like, oh,
same.
instead I go Reece James and Dubravka.
Yeah. Start Cash or Gehi, assuming I'm starting Solanke. Of course, Gehi. I mean, you can't really start Cash
Yeah.
at home to
There's a
City.
good chance Cash is benched. I think it'll be Konza right back.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know about his minutes either. Okay, so
Uh,
next question is
Oh,
thoughts.
Gucci, my guy from Australia, Gucci, one of my channel members. Thoughts on Sanchez over Dubravka? What's your thoughts there? Like, I mean, we've said it changes everything. I think it does. I still prefer Dubravka. It's a hell of a saving.
It's a hell of a saving, and I mean, you can get a more upside defender, like then you can go in with James or someone else in that bracket. Dubravka will be set and forget. And the thing with Dubravka is that none of the Newcastle defenders. I mean, share is 5.2. You can get a saving there as well,
Yeah.
but we don't really know which Newcastle defender to go for. I mean, share is fine, but he's still expensive. With,
Mm,
for example, someone like a Colville is 0.6, 0.7 cheaper than share. So Dubravka plus Colville could possibly. I do think it's definitely better than Share and Sanchez, for example.
do you prioritize getting Son or get Trent or Trippier? I would make Son a priority over those guys.
Yep,
But
Trent for me.
wildcard 19 is fun. Well played for keeping a wildcard. What do you reckon to Hoyland? I mean, he's not scored in the Premier League yet. Like, I just don't want to back United at the minute.
Same. And no confidence at all. They're just not playing well. Start Palmer with Isak. Tough.
I would start Palmer.
I think it's borderline, but I would probably go with Palmer as well. But it's risky and it could easily backfire.
What
Bench
about
Palmer
Bruno
or
or Palmer?
Fernandez.
I'd start Bruno
Yeah, I'd play Bruno as well.
because it's at home.
Yeah.
I think you start Bruno
And Chelsea
at
will
home.
concede. I think Chelsea will concede as well. United will score.
Who do you think takes the next penalty at Man United?
Fernandez, I think.
I hope.
And he's not gonna donate penalties to Rashford in every game. Alvarez to Jackson transfer now in game week 18. I mean, I would keep Alvarez if you have him this week. You don't have to sell.
I wouldn't buy Jackson. With
There's no
Nkunku
reason,
coming
yeah.
into that Chelsea team very soon, we don't know if Nkunku comes in as the 9 or the 10 or the 11, but there's a chance Jackson's the one of the attacking 4 that loses his place to accommodate Nkunku. So don't be buying Jackson, in my opinion. Gallagher, by the way, is out for Chelsea against Man United. We could see Palmer playing number 10 rather than them playing on the right, which will be interesting as well. I wonder if Palmer plays 10 and plays really well there, Gallagher's spot could be up for grabs. But Sterling and Nkunku and Palmer will be 3 of the front 4 for Chelsea moving forward, I think. Good chat, big man. Just very quickly, have you given any more thoughts to free hit in 18?
I think I'm unlikely to go there. I just think my team is all right. It's not ideal. It's not optimal. But I think there are probably enough gains to be made in 20. And I haven't completely ruled it out. But I think it's unlikely. As the weeks are going on, I think it's becoming more and more unlikely.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there.
What about you?
I think I'm with you. We've still not seen a double announcement either for Game Week 20.
We're just waiting for information.
Yeah, but we thought we might see that by now. And if not, we think we'll see it very soon because you've got to give fans notice. And yeah,
if you don't, then Game Week 18 becomes very easy to navigate because then you can sell Mbomo.
You can sell Mbomo, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then it becomes very, very easy to navigate.
Yeah, exactly that. I think, it's more likely for me, free hit won't be on the cards. I'm 1974. You okay, Gianni? Didn't trash Bruno there? Am I that predictable that I just trash Man United at every single opportunity? Guys, thank you so much for hitting that like button and for subscribing on the way out. If you're just joining, go back and watch the last hour. Brilliant chat as always. Dean and I will be back on Friday. Set the notification bell to know when we're streaming. Not sure what time that will be yet. And Big Man and I will be back next Wednesday ahead of, I think it's a Friday deadline next week. Good luck this week. But for now, he's been Big Man. I've been Gianni, and we've been chasing green arrows.
Good luck.